So that's where the pool hall was. I've heard stories about that. I never really identified exactly where it was at.
Yeah, we could probably,
Apparently it was,
we could probably set that. Yeah. I don't know if Jennifer wants to be the giant head on the screen in front of us. There you go. That's
pharmacy was up along, was it Fishburne that was where the city was?
Yes.
And that had a room in the back,
Right.
that a bunch of special meetings happened. You know, we told me that was the only thing in the house.
Over there on the left.
Right along Wayne Avenue.
Yeah, it's on the corner where
I think
the
it's-
city building, it's right there where the parking lot is, warehouse.
Right in the middle.
There we go. But Carol Nash is online. Carol's also on the board of the museum. Ryan Barber is with development with the museum. Jennifer Whitlow's administrative assistant. Joe. I was expecting and hoping that Dr. Stephen Powers would join us today. Did we hear anything from him, Jennifer?
He was unable to be with us today.
All right. So we missed him. I know he's new to the MNH Foundation. Agreed to serve on this committee as well. So our first order of business is approval of minutes from our last meeting. Do I hear any corrections or edits to the minutes? I think they were pretty good. Yeah, I think hearing no correction, we'll go ahead and approve those minutes. So we'll move past the introduction since Stephen isn't with us today, although I know he's a faculty member. Is it Roanoke?
Roanoke College.
Roanoke College, and he has a fisheries background. So
Yes.
we'll share some interest.
What's his role there? What's he teach?
I don't know what he teaches, but I believe he's either assistant or associate professor.
It's environmental sciences.
Environmental science. You say he's got a fisheries background, he's gonna be like
Yeah.
GIF, that type of thing, or?
Well, it looked to me in just reading his bio on the website that he does a lot with, non-game fishes.
Okay.
So native species, you
That's
know, there's a lot of diversity to fishes, in, for example, the southwest of Virginia.
Stasis darters, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm hoping that he'll join us the next meeting, be able to introduce himself, learn some more. But when he does, maybe he's a potential science speaker. At some
You
point.
say he's new to the
He's
board?
the new to the board of the foundation.
Foundation.
Yeah, so yeah, so he's with Rick on the foundation. All right, well, advocacy is at the top of the list here in terms of community connections. I know that everybody's curious about the budget, state budget. From what I could read, and it's hard to read and find this information when you look online, we didn't get anything.
No,
General Assembly.
the museum overall has a slight increase in its appropriation. So that's good. I know seeing some chatter that went around, I think it was Carol that pointed out there was a $500,000 line for the museum, but that was the maintenance reserve budget. So that's to be used on existing buildings and so forth. And then I think it was 3 budget amendments. Well, two got rolled up into one. So we had 2 budget adjustment submissions, one being Waynesboro, and neither one, it was just crickets. So, Jonathan, you don't mind, would you just, I mean, we talked extensively about, you know, how decision-making affects construction projects, which affects approval of future projects. So can you kind of walk through that garbly bit?
Sure. Yeah, so our project kind of stands in line. We did have our delegates, of course, put the budget amendments forward this time. Did not make it through either the House or the Senate side. The House had the working, one would be funding for the working drawings, and another was for the full funding for the project. And then on the Senate side, was just language only. Those houses have deliberated. They've gone through the amendments. Those amendments were not added to the budget. We are now moving into the kind of the negotiation stages. I would say the House reduced capital funding for construction projects by $100 million. The Senate increased the capital working dollars by $316 million. So there's negotiation left to be done. A big part of this cycle, this session, there's $400 million allocated to the re-benchmarking for education. So we're up against that as well, along with the medical stuff. But as we sit, we're ready to move into working drawings. All the documents have been submitted. And we are at the same place other agencies were 4 years ago. So as you guys are aware, there was a pause on all capital construction. So imagine being where we are now 4 years ago. So we are in line. There are other capital projects that are prepared to go to working drawings that were also prepared to go to working drawings 4 years ago. So patiently waiting and very appreciative of all the support, the letter writing. Preston made it to all the offices of both House and Senate Finance Committee members, gave us just brief reports. They were aware of the project, and they all noted, most all of them noted support, but of course concern for additional capital outlays with the environment the way it is as far as Northern Virginia. You know, there's jobs moving elsewhere, and then of course with the re-benchmarking of the schools. So, right.
And we don't know what current events are going to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Or future events. So,
Sure.
so the $312 million increase in the capital,
Mhm.
was that unallocated?
There are projects that are it's currently allocated for.
So they are allocated.
Mhm.
So there's no extra funds there that.
There are no extra funds. If you guys recall previously, larger projects, say $100 million for state facilities, there could be the potential to have a portion of the project backfilled. So we would have a $100 million project, and then, you know, the state gives it out in allocations, right? So we're going to get more money for working drawings. We won't get more money for the entire funding of the facility, but that's the same for every project. So there's a potential that out of that $316 million, that after negotiation, whatever that number comes out to, there might be $2 or $3 million for a project that might not be completed for 3 years, that could potentially help us move forward.
Who makes that decision?
The Senate, this,
The staff or no, the Del? the
yeah,
House
so the
itself?
staff will be, the staff,
General Assembly makes that.
yeah, the staff are aware and they'll put the proposals together. Ultimately have
You're
it.
taking their lead from the staff.
Yeah.
Basically, they'll provide recommendations and then the recommendations, kind of the political environment, discussions, negotiations, decisions are made.
That all happens before it goes to the governor? Or
Yes.
is that during the
Yeah,
conference,
that's
the
what they're-
budget
yeah.
conference?
That's what the conference is all about.
All right.
This week. So that's the conferees that make that decision, and
Yes.
those have not been announced yet. But they were correct today.
Maybe while we were driving the road, I don't know.
Are we aware of any recommendations by the staff that say, no, these 5 park projects, we should probably put money towards rough drawings?
We were not aware of anything formal. I know Preston, I exchanged some emails with Preston, tried to get in their ear before this all happened. So we'd be happy with a friendly amendment to the budget to just in language only, that we could move forward. So that in 6 months to a year, if one of those projects has some more money spent off of its potential, that we can move forward with working on.
So what are his recommendations now in terms of that for precedents?
Preston, well, so we're not really done yet, right, with session. So he wants to see how the conferees work through.
He's saying that that lady had some.
No, but she's standing at the
She's
podium
out
with
there.
the microphone in her hand,
All
so.
right, she's just not warming up. She's
Yeah.
actually full throated.
But, yeah, no, so, I mean, he is advocate there and he's gonna advocate for us. Hopeful, of course. If nothing more than just acknowledgement that, yes, you are in line with these 17 projects that were put on hold 4 years ago. Where we put our money this time.
So what's our official statement to the public when people start asking?
Marketing person should answer that.
Yeah, that was.
I'll tell you the numbers all
I need
day.
a spin doctor. Because I'll tell you, as soon as that museum trailer opens up, they're gonna get the same thing, especially after Crystal and Chris recently restated that we had funding, but it got pulled because of COVID. Well, it never got funded at all.
Now, who did that?
And that was,
That's free press.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
he keeps saying it over and over, and what happens is, as Mary will tell you, is these, some of their local guys will show up and they come straight in there exactly like, I understand your funding got pulled, this thing will never happen. And usually I'm at the front door and I stop them and correct them. But we never got funding. We were never in this. It wasn't an issue of the funding was assigned in full. The fact is COVID slowed everything down. It just slowed everything.
It slowed down the appropriation of the $1.1 million for detail design. I remember how long that took us to get started.
Yeah.
Um,
But that money.
but no, there's been no backtracking of the project. It hasn't gone in reverse.
So I just, I think we need to make sure that we're very clear when we publicize or make our public statement, exactly where we stand and not be overzealous about where we think it's going to be, but to be confident that this is strictly, the circumstances of the environment, not an indication that the project's not being supported.
Yeah. And I think Jonathan said it properly in that, we are in line. We just finished our detailed design last year. We asked to be moved to a new bucket of funding. That didn't occur, and we wait our turn in line with a number of other projects the state has still.
And I think it's fair to point out too, that the general budget is trying to meet this medical medical,
$1.5 billion.
that's it, and also the educational
Yeah, pretty benchmark.
re-benchmarking. So those should be mentioned too, that those became priorities above and beyond new construction. I don't think people understand why.
And the other one that I saw come up, forget where it was in the correspondence, but deferred maintenance. They're still catching up on that. I think if I remember right, Governor Youngkin did provide some funding for deferred maintenance, state parks and so forth, and there's still more to do. So that's another chunk of money.
So what I've been saying when asked, and I gleaned this from the notes that came out of one of the committee discussions when I think it was the House Budget Committee where they had the economists come in and give the state of affairs. You know, they went through all the different analysis. You know, there was what, $8 billion in deferred maintenance, and deferred capital was 13 billion. And I, you know, I keep reminding people that, you know, Governor Youngkin came in immediately said, we're not building any new buildings. You know, find a way to use an existing building. And all that's been stacked up. And oh, by the way, the new governor comes in and we've got healthcare challenges, employment challenges, even though there's a healthy, you know, surplus coming out of the year, which there is, you know, so trying to set the expectations. I think that all has to be said the right way, publicly, officially. You know?
We'll circulate some language.
Yeah.
You know, try
That
to
would be good. I think Len's right. We gotta get out in front of this and make sure people understand.
So then the next thing is we got to keep the excitement going for 2 more years, right?
Well, is there an opportunity next year
There is.
to do?
Yeah, we'll start in August. So
So
we'll
there's-
dump all the new governor will request capital requests. They'll go into August and I'll go to our Secretary of Education. And so we'll put in for the full amount again. So yeah, we'll go through this.
Which we know from past experience that the midterm budgets are less. There's not major, not, you know, a lot of capital doesn't get included. in those things.
Yeah,
But
there's
something
And
exciting
sessions are a lot
happens.
shorter.
So, I mean, realistically, we've got to be looking to you. I mean, it'd be great if something happened next year, or if something would be before that, but I think from an expectation standpoint, of planning perspective, we need to be thinking 2 years, and we got to figure out how we're to keep everybody excited about it.
I haven't met the new secretary yet. I'm assuming that's all going to be occurring right after session, but maybe we should do some introductions in person, present the project.
Yeah.
It's a priority. So
I also,
I had a conversation with the now deputy secretary when he was on a transition team. So we can do that too.
very good.
And we want to go back a step. So do we need to publish something other than just coming up with language for us to say?
Like a news
Do we need to
release.
publish a news release?
I think so.
A joint press release?
I think it'd be great with everybody for all the letter writing and all
Yeah.
the support, you know, at
Yeah.
the same time, you know, highlight that we still have a delegate support and our senator support.
and to highlight how impactful those letters.
Right, because they're noticed.
Yeah,
That was kind of one of the notes from each of the delegates. The support was overwhelming.
the headwinds were so strong. However, you know, we did move the ball down the field a little bit in the sense of support and you know, visibility, that sort.
I think Preston even mentioned that we've been doing a good job of keeping the project visible.
Yeah.
So as you know,
So should we try to time that towards the end of session? I mean, it's only 2 weeks, so something like that now, right? 2.5.
Middle of March.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
yeah.
I think once the conferees are done
Yeah.
Well, be ready for that
next week.
end of session.
March 7th.
But there's such a difference.
Yes.
I mean, there's a huge delta between the House version and the Senate version. That, you know,
Case before, even in the past 6 years, it's only gone up till June 26th or something that was.
Yeah, that's
up in the
right.
air until
We didn't
then,
even know our budget for sure.
Yeah, we were-
going to start this.
depending on carryover.
You
Has
all,
there
if I may, if you do have the opportunity to meet the new Secretary of Education, one of the things that I know he is passionate about is working with school systems where there are underperforming schools. And Waynesboro's numbers I know have been mixed. Tom, of course, knows this very well, being the professor in residence program that we have at JMU is designed for school systems that have these kinds of challenges. And of course, he was at Waynesboro for a number of years. But I'm thinking that one of the really important issues to bring up to the Secretary of Education is the fact that this is going to support education overall in Waynesboro and Augusta County, and is going to help fill some of the enrichment needs that would help bring some of those scores up.
I think that's a great point, Carol.
Shouldn't it be go beyond Augusta and Waynesboro though? I mean.
Yeah, but
what's
those
the-
communities are probably the ones that are.
What about Highland?
Yeah, Western Albemarle's probably not. Well, under that.
Well, Highland Bath too, absolutely, yeah.
Nelson.
Yeah. But if you go over the ridge, Albemarle, and Charlottesville, not so much.
Right, but I'm thinking
Yeah,
Valley.
yeah.
And Allegheny Highlands especially.
Yeah.
'Cause we're-
Well, that's a good one. I mean, we could put those statistics together and when we do meet with, is it Jeffrey Smith is his name, I think?
Yes.
We meet with him, we can present that, because if that's something he's interested in, and thanks for sharing that, Carol, then, I mean, that's a good
Yeah,
one.
what was his background? Where was he?
He's at Hampton, Schools. I think he was maybe
That's right.
superintendent,
That's right.
and then he was with a nonprofit. He was a director for a nonprofit.
The Air and Space Museum in Norfolk.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So he understands museums.
Uh-huh.
His passion is clearly schools. I would just imagine this was kind of a cool opportunity for him to take a leadership role in a nonprofit. And he took that, and then I don't know what the reason was for his specific selection, but he seemed he was highly qualified.
It'd be interesting to get his perspective on what he sees, the value in the interconnect between the museum, not just this museum, I'm talking the Natural History Museum in general, and STEM education and education in general.
All museums, all state museums that are under his purview now.
I mean, you get some real passion out of him when you're talking to him. You start seeing some energy coming from him. You kind of know where to push.
Okay, well, those are two action items for us. One to put together a news release and the other is to arrange for a meeting. Secretary sometime when it's convenient for him. Has there been any discussion of a bond issue?
Yes, the house, there's $100 million difference. One's 1.4, one's 1.3. So
Okay.
1.4 billion. Historically it's been 2.3 and 2.4, but with the added cost, I think of the insurance. There's the debt ratio is that such that they've had to reduce what they typically go after in the markets.
Gotcha. And is that, if they go for that bond issue, is that targeted to projects that are already identified?
It's probably ongoing
Okay,
projects and backfilling those projects that are in works along with paying for other.
Deferred.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other questions about the state budget or advocacy?
The only thing I would add from an advocacy standpoint is we really got to think 2 years, and I think we need to strategize on building more support. I honestly believe we need a benefit. Somebody that has influence, has some, influence and stature that can benefit, say, this thing's important. This is where you were talking about the last time.
Yeah.
I think we need to really cultivate that. If it's Jack Bocock or whoever, maybe it's somebody like Jack that has connections to the administration like something, or certainly in the legislature. But maybe it's people up in Northern Virginia. Some of the people John knows. But I think we need to work on it. I think if we keep thinking that we're going to follow the same approach and get better results, I think we're going to be here 2 years from now talking the same thing. I think it's time to mix it up a little bit and try to come up with a silver bullet somehow. And I think the benefactor is the only thing I can think of that would change the dynamic.
Well, our experience with both of the biennium budgets is we didn't get the governor to put it in, and then we had to advocate for the General Assembly. But
Yeah.
it seems to me if we'd be much better off to get the governor to put it in.
Absolutely.
And so that's where we maybe push with a benefactor.
Yeah, that's what we need. And and that $500,000 we got the first time around was just a freaking blooper. If Emmett wasn't sitting at the table in a position of power, we never would have gotten that. He just grabbed it when he saw the opportunity. Medicaid expansion. And all of a sudden this money freed up and he's like $500,000. And nobody knew it even was going to happen. But that's how things happen like this. It's really the squeaky wheel these guys don't necessarily make decisions because it's the right thing. It's the decisions that they like because it's important to them. And it's important to them because their constituents, especially the ones that find if they're good things, make a lot of noise about it. And we need one of those. We need someone. Otherwise, we're going to be in that queue, and we'll be the pauper's son, hoping for the next bowl of gruel. Sorry to be a laugh.
Well, another thing that I would like to do is an exit interview with the LA for, well, not just Preston, but I think the LA for Ellen McLaughlin. And maybe with Chris Head and see what kind of feedback they got in.
Yeah.
And why, or how we might do it different.
Debriefing.
Yeah. Debrief.
Absolutely.
Because when I went down there, Ellen said, every time she brought it up with her colleagues, they thought it was a great idea. And obviously the financial thing probably would kill us. But,
That's it's a matter of priorities. It's like what am I willing to fight for? And how's that going to benefit? I'm thinking as a legislator or a politician, how does that benefit me in my election? We got to make it important for somebody. It's important for Alan, it's important for Chris, but how much influence do they have? Yeah. And I don't know that Chris, being the conservative that he is, he's balancing that up against the conservative approach to spending money, and then you've got, this real division right now between the Republicans and Democrats because the Democrats are, running the table down there and the Republicans are pushing back hard. So, there's that, emotional part of it that's kind of playing. We got to get past all that. And our thing's got to be, a different, they need to have a different passion behind it. It's not a political thing. So.
But again, if we get away from pushing it through the General Assembly and push it instead through the administration, then it's convincing the Secretary of Education, right?
Yeah.
If the Secretary of Education is on board and enthusiastic about it, he recommends it to the governor. Puts it in advance.
But you got a guy sitting there that's worth, $500 million that's putting, 6-7 figures into people's campaigns, staring across the table saying, this is really important. And here's why it's important to me. And I'm willing to back it. But you guys got to step up. That's a whole lot different than us going down there and hitting all the different, I've done that trip before. They're always very supportive.
Yeah.
They've always saying it's a great idea. They've been saying that for 15 years.
Well, one of the things that we really need to always get on is economically, it's a good deal.
Yeah.
It's not that this project's going to suck every dime out of this whole area and out of the state. It's going to make it. And that ought to appeal to both sides, but especially Republicans, if they push back and say, oh, we don't want to spend any money. Well, sometimes you spend money to make money.
Yeah.
And
and
this is one way to be able to do it.
You have to make the case because the typical response is it's a nice to have, not a gotta have. That's the basic opinion of most Republicans. And you've got to show them that no, it's not just a nice to have, it's an important to have because of return on investment, economic development, all that kind of stuff.
Well, and then the intended consequence of being able to be supportive of the educational process for an undeveloped area.
Yeah.
So we underperform.
Right.
Almost all the economic things.
Well, and in terms of goals for education too.
Yeah.
Well, I've always said that if you take our projected attendance, and that's with the very conservative numbers that we've historically used, if you take the proportion that we anticipate to come from outside of this area, and you apply the Virginia tourism numbers to, that's $250 million of spending in this area over 20 years. Right? So we've got that worked out.
You just got to repeat the message.
Yeah.
Constantly. So, got 2 years to do it.
We'll get the ball rolling on it.
Can you do a release or does it?
We can talk about that, but whatever we think is most strategic, I don't think.
I don't know politically. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what the message is, but we'll certainly figure that out.
Will Preston continue to be an advocate for us, or was that contract ending?
I think it ends in the month.
Those came March.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Okay.
I think so. Emails, courteous emails
Yeah.
throughout the year.
Yeah,
okay.
His contract.
We'll stay in touch.
I think we got to approach it on two fronts. I think, employing Preston's the right thing to do. He's our man on the inside, and we just got to keep that going. But on the outside, you just circle around.
Well, I was thinking back to what you were saying, having a strategic plan for 2 years from now, but not Preston.
Ask him for a short engagement.
Between now and a month.
Or yeah, it's about 3 weeks, buddy. One last thing.
All right, under community connections, our next thing was something that I brought up, Waynesboro library displays. We've had in the past, we've had dinosaurs, and we've had signage about the proposed campus and stuff like that in the library. Was there recently, and there's a small dinosaur, but there's no indication that it's part of the museum, and there's no connection to this project. So I was just wondering if we could revisit that.
We corrected that this morning.
Okay.
So, and we're going to do some more because it's just the right thing to do. The library has some special dinosaur programming for summer programs. So we're going to be putting together another case or two to augment the existing display that specifically underscore some of the lessons they're going to be providing. So it will get expanded before June.
And we mentioned this once before, but have you thought about doing something at Augusta's library?
Yeah, it's just been a matter of time and
there was a personnel problem there, right? It was a interim director or something. There was something.
it could be because there's been turnover. We've been working with Susan Person, Waynesboro Public Library. That's gone really well. But then, her predecessor was there and they're not there.
Yeah.
Interim, something like that. So yeah, there's been a little bit of personnel relationship, I should say, challenge that we just had to overcome. But, once we get this squared away, we can certainly look at Augusta.
And maybe when we had the trailer back, we could have a sign there saying, if you want to learn more, come down to the trailer on Saturday morning or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
Pushes people out.
I'll tell you what you could do is if Zach's willing to do, or if you guys want to put a page up there on our Waynesboro project site and then put a QR code. Learn more, come see us at the trailer. QR code takes them to the website with a photograph and some exhibits, photos from the inside, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we can do that.
And you set one up.
And then,
And we did talk with Mary Poulin, who's our official volunteer coordinator locally, and so she's prepared to start things here very soon.
Okay.
Well, once we have a trailer.
yeah. And where do we stand on that?
No, but things are progressing really well. It is at the wrap company location. They've taken the wrap off and then they're repairing all the rust damage that's underneath the wrap. So we've got pretty much a lot of the inside has been gutted out. They'll do the wrap first, of course, and they have made sure that the ceiling it doesn't rain inside. But yeah, so they're working on pulling the wrap off now. Everything's moving right along.
They've got the hydraulics fixed too? Or?
No.
So they've repaired the slides, go in and out.
That's good.
With help from a forklift.
Oh,
So, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't do that. But yeah, so
It's a.
but the hydraulics to level the trailer are working.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll get a better trailer back, but the idea of making that specific unit mobile is
Right. So the bump out will never really work. It'll just be something
Permanently bumped out.
pull out
Yep.
and leave that way.
Which they will do for us.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
By the professionals. Roll
And how about a skirt? Did we talk about?
Yes, we're
Okay.
in the script. So that we had that to the contract previous to after the last.
And when it comes back, we'll reinitiate the idea of connecting it to the power poles. So we don't have to rent a generator every time.
And it'll be back before the spring events.
That's what we told
Should
them.
be.
Yeah. We have our fingers crossed. They know that Riverfest is May 2nd.
So it's not-
And so I think we gave them April 15th as a drop dead time, because while we've been working with Lila, it's still gonna require loading up a van, bringing everything up, and so we're working on interpretation.
15th is on the contract, so yeah, that's it.
When do you think you'll have the power connected?
Just because I know how things go, probably after Riverfest, so we'll probably be renting a generator.
Yeah.
Then we have events. Of course, we continue to participate in the lecture series. We've had a couple of really good ones. Most recently, Raren and Endangered Plants. They did a nice job of introducing our speakers for that. And
Spotlight.
yeah, I know, it's hard to get used to, and you can't see anybody because the
I was just like,
light is in your
yeah,
face.
you're in a headlight.
Yeah,
But they did a nice job.
yeah, they did a great job.
Good attendance too.
Mhm. We had 130 people there.
Wow.
That's an all-time high.
Yeah, that was an all-time.
Yeah, that's
And just a lot of interest, good questions. too.
Yeah.
So, that's-
So Ann Pelletier couldn't make it today, but she's got somebody that she's thinking of that she'll recommend.
I saw her note and I forwarded it to Joe.
So are all the spots filled? There's still an opening?
I think there was one opening.
The one so for this month is set. I don't know about April.
I think Chris Bolgiano's got it.
Okay, well then we're done for the year.
Right.
So May
So
2nd.
we don't do May and we come back in September. Yeah. Starting to lose count of how many seasons we've had. It's 8 or 9.
I haven't looked at it
Yeah.
yet.
Whoever's doing it, I guess Jen's doing the marketing, the distribution, she's done a really good job.
Yeah.
for outreach.
She keeps feeding material to Zach and
Yeah.
whatnot, so.
But it's,
yeah.
you know, it's good. I see, I get information back from various nonprofits in the area,
Uh-huh.
like the bird clubs and the Native Plant Society and stuff. So they're helping, get the word out to their membership. So,
I think that's why we've had such a big turnout.
Yeah.
Social media has done a better job
Yeah.
at using our partners to
Exactly.
spread the word. Riverfest has been picking it up.
yeah. So Shenandoah Valley, Conservancy.
Yep.
Has posted it a couple times. So, yeah, that's all been good.
Yeah. We actually get a lot, in addition to Jenna, we get a lot of pro bono support from Josh Spees, who does the poster design.
Does a good job.
He does an amazing job, and I really feel like we should do something to thank him for that. I think in previous years, maybe we gave him like a gift certificate, with a green grill or something like that.
Doing that as a volunteer?
He's doing it totally volunteer.
Wow.
Yeah. He,
Nice job.
he's a photography teacher at the high school. I think he also has a side business in graphic design.
We should give him a shout out.
Yeah.
At the lecture.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, maybe as we close the season or something like
Yeah.
that, we can do something nice for him in general. Yeah, and as always, we're looking for tips. I think, like Len pointed out, Ann Peltier suggested somebody for next season, but I think.
Hardwoods guy or something from DBA,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, faculty member.
Well,
Well,
sorry, with a little luck, we should have, if this fellow from UVA participate, and Steve Bowers can participate, we just need one more
For the fall.
for the fall.
Yeah, then we'll have the fall schedule.
So I think
we just do September, October, November. We take December
Right.
off.
Does anyone know a program on geology?
Uh,
Eaton did.
that's right, Scott did before him, Jim Beard did,
Jim Beard
but
did.
it's been a while, they
Yeah.
haven't, they're not, most common talks of, there's a geologist who has a particular take on this.
Just thought that would be nice.
We've had karst geology too.
Oh,
On
yeah,
health.
that's right.
On health.
Yeah.
Chuck Bailey at William and Mary is doing new research in the Blue Ridge at just on Crawford Knob at Wintergreen. And he would be a great presenter. He's been finding some really interesting stuff.
And what's his discipline?
He's a geologist. Yeah.
No.
He just finished his term as the president of the Geological Society of America.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Yeah, he's a pretty big deal.
All right.
Yeah, we got stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
He's a former editor, not former, he is one of the editors of Geology of Virginia.
Oh, okay. With Eaton. And
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
That's a good suggestion, Carol. The science social is something that's on here. Carol, I know you brought up the idea to begin with, and then Joe had some response to it. I don't know where we go with it from here.
Carol, can I count on you to kind of give an overview of where you saw this coming from, and maybe I can chime in on
Well,
discuss-
Faye actually is the person who has followed up with this. I had suggested it originally because I have had some students who have done work with the Elizabeth River group, basically naturalist group, and I noticed that they were advertising what looked like something that would be pretty fun for us to do, and that was just kind of a not really a meet and greet, but the actually folks who have knowledge coming together in a bar setting to just talk about natural history and things of that sort. And so I'd mentioned that to Tom and helped make a connection. And Faye has now talked with the folks at Elizabeth River to get a sense of what they were doing and how it has worked out. And I was not part of that conversation, so Faye would be able to fill you in on that.
I have sent you some notes, so included, YouTube and Carol. I spoke with the kind of the program coordinator for Elizabeth River Project. And actually what struck me is what they are doing is kind of similar to our science talk, but with the addition of alcohol. And I guess it's at a brewery type setting, but the other difference is they've done it only twice. They're doing it like twice a year, so it's not a real frequent event. And they have 4 speakers that they are very rigid about allowing each speaker, and it's on a topic, to speak for 10 or 15 minutes. And then at the end, there's a Q&A. So it's kind of an informal thing, but I mean, it's very similar in terms of getting people there. They have a very big membership following, for the Elizabeth River Project. They've been going for many years now. So they're a little different in that way in terms of the size of their community support. They're right in the Tidewater
They've got a bigger
area.
population.
It's a much bigger population. So those were the 2 main differences. And it, was, intended to be, kind of a educational plus social event.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if we want to try something like that. That's like the brewery, maybe just, I'm just not sure how it would work.
I'm wondering if
They might
maybe,
compete with our science.
I'm wondering if maybe you do it in Charlottesville and Harrison instead of Waynesboro.
no following.
The following.
Well, that's how you build it.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking of, universities, number 1. Number 2, you've got a younger crowd, and it would give us an opportunity to, start communicating about this project over there, building support in those 2 communities. I think Harrisonburg as well because of JMU. You tend to get that more, intellectual curiosity. People, and you've got plenty of breweries.
Mhm. Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering about the manpower and, everything's pretty full.
The other thing is,
I don't know.
Ann heard somebody say about the chocolate thing, and Joe asking, does anybody know anybody about chocolate? Well, she's out researching.
Okay.
And she's doing a trip up and down the 81 on Saturday. A couple places in Lexington. There's a place, Giacono's, and Stanton, another place in Stanton. So, which is great. That guy's great. Yeah, that's
Chocolate?
Yeah. We have a
Well, the
chocolate themed dinner down at the
Dinner.
museum. It's
Yeah.
kind of a.
she's on it, and she's gonna come with
Well,
recommendations.
no, we broke even, and that's
Okay.
with a volunteer chef.
And it broke even.
Yeah, events are tough.
Well, it wasn't that.
meant to be. a
Yeah,
fundraiser.
we were just
Yeah.
looking out towards the community, gives them something nice. It's a lot of fun, but Janet, our cook, she put a lot into it, So
Well, friend building is what we're gonna be continuing to do. fundraising as opposed to fund.
Remember, we held an event over at King's Family Vineyards.
Yeah.
Perfect venue,
We're looking for a partner, maybe that's.
perfect venue.
Yeah, wineries might be.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
thing about, our local brewery here, Basic City, I've been there a couple times. It's pretty loud.
Mhm.
It's a lot of kids running around all over the place, and it's very family oriented.
Yeah.
I have a hard time envisioning any kind of presentation where there's,
An intimate
discussion.
conversation.
And that, yeah, it's pretty, the acoustics.
Pale Fire in Harrisonburg is set up to do this. They have the book readings from WMR that WMRA sponsors there. They've been very good about that kind of thing, and it's a good setting. It's not loud.
Why would that not be? Because they're probably always already looking for programming. I mean, I know they focus on books, which you don't have, but maybe substitute a project.
Yeah, you have authors,
Yeah.
you have scientists, you have, researchers, world-class researchers that talk about the science of these things. I believe, my gut feeling is that it would do better in Harrisonburg and in those environments, Charlottesville, Harrisonburg. You got a higher population, younger population, more academic, more, curiosity that way. That might draw a bigger crowd. I think for Waynesboro, it's something different. But whatever we do, I think we need a whole menu of friend raising and building
Might that be
our.
something your committee,
Yeah.
committee you're on now, which is fundraising committee, might.
Stand too, certainly very Baldwin.
Yeah. Your Baldwin's kind of a crazy place right now.
Yeah, they're a little
A
turmoil.
lot of turmoil. They've
My wife
lost 2
graduated.
presidents in 2 months. Yeah.
It's also not that big a population.
No, it's like 400.
Yeah,
Well, I'm just saying, the Stanton itself is not,
We're a little bigger than Waynesboro.
but Charlottesville or Harrison.
Right.
but we can reach into Stanton already, people are familiar with that. It's Charlottesville and,
Charlottesville.
yeah, but
And really need to be reaching into not only financial, but something like a chocolate dinner is
would
an
appeal to them.
them.
Yeah,
And Hazy Mountain in the past has done some, like they're having the Wayne Theater Gala. And
That's a beautiful setting.
yeah,
Oh, my goodness.
I would hope that they're giving the space to them. They gave the space to Warm, which is the Waynesboro Area Refuge Museum, maybe 2 years ago. The problem that we had there is the acoustics.
Mhm.
And so, but that might, if you work on that part, but it's a whole lot better than the Foundry. Even though Art will give us any nonprofit to space,
Right.
but it's just not conducive to any sort of presentation.
the concert.
Well,
If you're spreading on the stage.
It's
perfect.
very loud.
If we do it somewhere other than Waynesboro, I think we should pick the best patrons for our potential legislative amendments and do it in their district or their location.
Yeah.
Right beside their house.
Peace, safety.
Wherever we got
Yeah.
I don't want the location's great and all, and it'd be really cool, but I could do it in a very loud, noisy spot if the right co-patron is.
Yeah, you're right.
So
There are a
let's
lot of
think,
good both breweries and wineries to choose from on the other side of the mountain.
if we must move it from
If we
Waynesboro,
must.
if we must.
So Joe, did you get a call from Bob Stewart a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
All right, and they ran an article in Harrisonburg. I haven't read it. So the editor in Harrisonburg used to be in Waynesboro, and he's very interested in staying on top of this project. And tasked Bob, who's freelancing now, to write an article about it. He called me when I was up north. I told him to call you. I hadn't seen the article. I keep getting the look for it.
I spoke with them. I don't recall that anything.
Would you guys have picked it up and
Yeah.
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 Something did come out.
We can share it with you guys.
Yeah.
So
that would be good.
maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
I have a suggestion. You all this just made me think of it, what you were just saying. Randy Behege, who is the reporter for WMRA, is always looking for stories, and she does a very good job. And I was thinking about going back to this discussion about how to keep the story in front of people, how to explain to people that just because we didn't get the money, it doesn't mean the project is threatened or anything like that. I think Randy could do a great job with this story. And if it were done in concert with the announcement of an event, or a series of events, I feel like that would go a long way to get to that WMRA, the public radio membership. That is definitely a group that you want to tap into.
Especially when you consider the chocolate the idea of that chocolate dinner and the relationship to the close connection into that natural environment. It's a great tie-in and a great story for her.
But we have to go in through the mindset of, this is not gonna be a money maker.
Yeah,
This is a
right.
relationship building.
Along those lines, I guess we still have foundation funds for that purpose.
Yeah, I don't remember what the balance is. Break that out. Make a budget. But
big party.
But just be realistic here. Like all this is good, and we'll follow up and see what percolates to the top here. But we're not going to have perfect timing of an article, a natural history of food program, and the end of the session all coming together, right?
No,
So just be clear.
These events, I'm thinking July.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think we need to have every 90-day something. Doesn't have to be a big event, but some kind of thing that we can keep it out there. That every 90 days something, whether it's a press release, an event, something. Because
It's not like we have a nucleus of people that are interested in carrying this forward. Between Carol and Faye and
coordinate
yeah.
Events.
And Joe, can we lay out a
Rick, are you
90-day schedule?
I've already got down developed a
Alright.
2-year strategic plan,
Yeah.
and we'll break it up in 90-day chunks and see
Yeah.
where these different ideas.
And then we'll
fall.
pull together and start pulling the local stuff up.
Yeah, and while it's not a fundraising event, I think it fits in, like you're saying, fundraising event that could also.
We may have an opportunity. The only thing I'm hesitant about bringing this up, because if this doesn't exactly come all the way to fruition, I don't want anyone saying, "Hey, what the heck happened with that mastodon?" Right? But we've been digging through some archived material with the help of who we met. What else has former museum director and research fellow Noel Boaz. Right, he's been taking some of our paleontology materials. Long story, but has been spending about a year trying to lay down the provenance of, especially this one mastodon in our collection, which is a juvenile mastodon, and it seems to be the same specimen, just different parts of the skeleton as what Monticello has, right, which makes a Charlottesville connection. So those bones that we have were collected either by Lewis or Clark, I can't remember which, but in Kentucky, and brought to Jefferson, who studied them and wrote some stuff on them. And then there's this whole thing on the history of the separation of mammoth and mastodon, which this was involved in, and it lived at Monticello, near Charlottesville, for a long time. There's a little break in the history I don't quite understand. It ends up at UVA, and then it eventually ends up in possession of the museum for the last 30 years. So we might be able to, and I also think that's important. If we're going to go to a Charlottesville, there's got to be a reason beyond, well, we want you to do stuff for us, right? It's got to be, well, we want to celebrate this, study, which solidified the provenance of this very important fossil specimen, right? And it comes right back here to Charlottesville. Yeah. Or if it's going to be Stanton, or if it's going to be Harrisburg, something like that.
See, that'd be a perfect kickoff for the science thing. Science, you can have a Q&A, have it at a vineyard. That would even be a better tie to Jefferson. at a vineyard because he was the grandfather of the Virginia wine industry. And then have that conversation about, get, you know, a Q&A, and Dr. Boas would come up for that or whatever.
I think he would, but there'd be no problem getting some of that skeleton, bring it like that, Richard.
You would get people in there big time. You know, there would be, that would attract attention, people would show up.
Anything with Jefferson's name.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
That's what
We
we're
need
doing.
to tap
It's
into-
VA, it's VA 250, and you know ours is all about. Internally, we call it TJ 26. You know, it's all about Thomas Jefferson's story.
And we need to tap into the UVA, you know, higher, especially on the medical center side. And every chance I get, because heaven knows I have plenty of opportunities to have quality time with physicians. And I keep telling them about this. And, you know, even the CFO of the transplant program, you know, is tuned into it. We just got to figure out how to tap into those guys.
We've got a couple other events on our calendar, Riverfest, of course, and the museum area.
We have staff ready.
We're all set.
Yeah, staff, and again, Mary graciously has agreed to coordinate local folks for those events. You're all welcome to drop in for an hour and, you know, rub elbows with the volunteers, whatever staff we have at these events and so forth, and just have a chance to shake a few hands. So
It's a lot. I would encourage you to do it. It's really interesting to you get to talk to the people and they see the enthusiasm that they provide. This whole concept. It's fun. You know,
Tell me about the museum rodeo. What is that?
15th and 16th, I believe something like 10 to 4 each day. Yeah, sorry, May 15th. It's right after, a couple weeks after Riverfest. And we will, so on that day, there's going to be, you know, will be open, the VH 50 trailer will be in the lot, and the BMFA Armobile will around. Does that sound right? And food trucks and.
Or the Virginia Arts Festival, so all these 6 murals being painted around town, finished that weekend.
it's pretty exciting.
All right, I think we're to open discussion if there's anything else to bring up.
When the meeting adjourns, I'll bring up my email. I can show you Lila's work as an update on the trailer route.
Oh, okay, cool. Only thing I thought of was Irby and I had a discussion. He with Riverfest, they're now hosting a movie the night before Riverfest at the Wayne Theater called Hidden Rivers. So they're going to show that again. And he had the idea that maybe he would like to start a series of these nature documentary type movies. And we thought about tagging it on to the science talks, like maybe having a late afternoon. So, you know, kids from school would be able to go with their parents maybe at like 4 p.m. And there's a whole series of videos that he has identified and we were showing. That's just, at this point, it's just an idea and germination. We'll see where it goes.
The local Martinsville grad is going to show a video here coming up.
Really?
Either a biography piece or it's a natural world piece. So
Oh, okay.
we might have a group of us coming up to
That's
check it
cool.
out.
When was that?
Sometime in the summer is what I've been told. I don't know if they've nailed down a date, but
Yeah.
it's exciting to have
What kind of
another Martinsillian. He's an indie filmmaker that made he's going to show it in Charlottesville and then at the Wayne Theater too.
Cool.
So just a
Very cool.
cool Martinsville.
Yeah, definitely keep that on.
Support our
Events, yeah.
Yeah, make sure we all know about that one.
guy. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think Dr. Bassett is the one connected with everyone.
I started a book called Factory Man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Beth
yeah,
Macy.
yeah.
Yes.
So Beth Macy, I'm reading her most current book,
Okay.
Paper Girl.
Well, Factory Man is about the Bassett family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
On the
Furniture.
ball.
Oh, really?
Furniture.
The Galax.
Yeah.
Bassett.
Mhm.
Yeah. Good book. She's a good writer.
I learned
And
a
also
little the
Canada.
inside to
Yeah.
fun.
Fictionalized version of the truth, yeah.
Hey, have you ever been to that Teltex plant? It's impressive.
All right, well, thanks for joining us online, those that are out there, and we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting at this point.
And on the hour.
Thanks, Carol. Very
Well
much
done.
appreciate it. See you